This is the Pulsar X2, a mouse that's probably one of the best that's come out this year. This review has been highly anticipated, and after using the mouse for a couple weeks, I can definitely see why. See ya. See ya. See ya. I just sniped a widow. Now, whenever you look at this mouse for the first time, your first thought is probably going to be, wow, that looks just like a 56-gram Logitech G Pro Superlight. And I'll admit there are some similarities, especially from a top-down perspective. The shape of the front mouse buttons and the accent on the scroll wheel do scream Logitech Superlight, but the feeling in hand is way different. Not only is it wider, but the slope of the mouse is steeper, and the main buttons do have some moderately aggressive comfort grooves, which is something I actually found myself really enjoying about this mouse. With the way that the comfort grooves are implemented, it actually gave me a little bit more control with these two fingers. And it also helps to lock in a more consistent grip, which is useful because the sides are rather flat and it's not the biggest mouse in the world. But then again, it's certainly not tiny either. Now, I suppose it is worth mentioning there is a smaller version, the Pulsar X2 Mini, but as I have hands on the larger side, being 20cm by 10.5cm, the Pulsar X2 Medium was a better fit for me. And I found it to work quite well for fingertip and claw grip. Taking a look at the bottom of the mouse, another big difference between the Logitech Superlight and the Pulsar X2 is of course the giant holes on the base plate of the mouse. At first glance, you might assume this means that the mouse is very flexible and cheap feeling, but in actual use, that couldn't be further from the truth. It feels very sturdy. I still wouldn't recommend squeezing the base plate and the top of the mouse together because there's just not much there, but from side to side, it feels extremely solid. The only complaint I have with the build quality is the minor side play on the main buttons. It's not that bad compared to some other mice, but this is a pet peeve of mine and I really hope they fix this. It's the only thing stopping it from being a premium mouse in my opinion. It may sound like I'm being picky here, but this does make a mouse feel a little cheap, and it can be distracting at times. But on a good note, this mouse also has no rattle and the clicks feel quite nice. They went with Kale 8.0s, so they're very tactile. There is just a little bit of pre-travel, but it's hardly noticeable. As far as the rest of the clicks, the side buttons feel very nice as well. They do have a bit of post-travel, but they're well positioned and they don't have any wobble, so no complaints from me. The scroll wheel uses a TTC gold encoder, which is sort of just the industry standard at this point. The steps are well defined and it's a rather tactile scroll wheel. Of course, seeing as to how this is a wireless mouse, I'm sure you're wondering about the battery life and the sensor performance. And there is quite a bit to talk about. So first off, it gets around 70 hours of usage on a full charge, which is pretty on par with just about every other mouse that's using the Pixart 3395 sensor. And here's where things start to fall apart a little bit. The Pixart 3395 has had a rough launch. Most of the issues have been fixed by now through firmware updates, but at the time of recording this video, there still is one issue that Pulsar needs to fix, and that's the delay it has before it comes back from sleep mode. Which may not seem like a big deal, but in a game like Counter-Strike or Valorant where you have a lot of downtime and you're just holding angles, it can easily be a disadvantage. Now, thankfully, Pulsar have acknowledged the problem and have announced that they're working on a fix for it, so there shouldn't be too much worry about it for much longer, but it's certainly worth mentioning. Their plan is to let you adjust the sleep timing in the software, so you can fine-tune it whether you want more performance or battery life. Speaking of the software, it has all the features that you would expect by now. It's where you can adjust the DPI, polling rate, the liftoff distance, etc. You can also turn on and off motion sync, adjust the debounce time, and make macros. And of course, keep track of the battery life, which you'll want to check from time to time because the LED indicator is on the side of the mouse for some reason. It does blink red when the battery gets low, but it's very easy to miss. The charging cable included is pretty good, it's nice and flexible, although I do wish they would have angled it upward like we're starting to see on a lot of other cables. It's something I think every company should be doing. Fortunately, it is a wireless mouse, so you're not going to be using the charging cable that often, but it still would have been nice. I gotta say, if you like the shape, then this is a no-brainer. It's a solid mouse at a fair price for what it offers. Although, it does have some tough competition. There are a lot of great mice coming out right now, and if you want to see more reviews like this, then you can check out this playlist here.